The dash. It's an ability that enables your character to rush in a forward direction, allowing them to traverse the game world at an extraordinary speed. This ability lets player dash through the obstacles, seamlessly reaching their desired locations. To create the dashing effect in Unreal Engine, we can manipulate time by accelerating it while simultaneously launching the player character forward. This technique enhances the perception of speed, giving the player the illusion that they are dashing through the environment by carefully adjusting the timing and speed parameters. We ensure that the execution feels fluid and dynamic, adding an exciting layer to the gameplay. Alright guys, so to enable dashing, first we need to set up a input for it. So go to your input folder. This will be similar for every other game and every other platform. This doesn't really need to be in the game sample animation. So go into your content, then input, and go inside there, input and input action. Here we are going to name this IA dash. You can go inside here and inside triggers, we're going to give it a tap, then save everything. Go inside your IMC sandbox, and in mapping, we're going to give it a separate one. So we're going to dash, and in here we're going to give it, let's say, left alt. Yeah, we're going to save it. Now go back to your blueprint, go back to your sandbox character. And here we have everything, every node. So if you have built up a sprinting system in your third-person character, or you have your sprinting system in your game sample animation, then you can go to your sprint, and we are going to work with this one. Yeah, the reason why I said the game sample animation doesn't really matter, because we are not actually going to use these nodes. Sprinting is just an input, and let's say that whenever you press shift you sprint and you do certain stuff, but here we are going to actually close this, and this condition we are going to say promote to variable, and we are going to call this do sprint. And in here we're going to check in the starters few things. So in the starter we are going to grab and say another boolean. So this boolean is going to check whether we are doing double tap to dash. So we are going to make two systems for dashing, and we can change them through settings. Right now we don't have settings. In future when we make it, you can put this as a option to turn on and off. Kind of a good thing to give the player a choice whether they want to do double tap to sprint or just a single tap to sprint. So this is just that. And here we are going to again right click on condition and promote to variable, and here we're going to say, so here we are going to say double tap to dash. Okay, and compile and save. For default it will be true. You can change this whenever you want. For now we are going to keep it as true. So make a new variable called can dash. I know too many variables, but this is kind of necessary if you want to make this much more flexible. If you just want to keep this double click on sprint or just one click on dash, you don't really have to make this algorithm. Just go with the simple one. I will tell you how you can make just completely simple one. this is just more flexible. Now you can go inside CAN-dash, bring this up, and we are going to make another branch. So drag this, click B, CAN-dash, press B, and it will bring branch. And from branch, if we CAN-dash, then we are going to do the algorithm. But if we can't dash, means dashing isn't enabled, then we are going to go inside false and we are going to enable it. And then we are going to give the player some window to be able to dash. So we're going to say delay. And this time we'll keep track of how much you want to give them the window to actually be able to dash. So when it's completed, we are going to turn this off. And that's basically giving the player a window in a sprinting option to just being able to dash. But what I would like to do is put this in truth and make this a not boolean instead. For what reason, I'm actually going to tell you just now, because this is the window for double tap, but we actually also want to dash, because if we can double tap, if we cannot double tap to dash, then we want to dash without it. So we are going to grab the double tap to dash again and make another branch. Here we are going to do this on false, because if we cannot double tap to dash, then we are going to use this, which is basically telling it to do this. And make sure to make this on started and not triggered. So now we have the base algorithm. From this false number to this false number, we are going to do basically same thing. And this is the algorithm to specify if you want single dash, single click to dash, or double click to dash. And if you are doing just single click, just do this basic thing. You don't really have to make this algorithm at all. So now we are going to implement the dashing. So in the false, we are going to set time dilation. So we are going to actually slow down the world around us when we do this. Okay, it's basically the same thing. You can make this a function and use this on both of them. So here we want to slow down the time, and let's say after some delay. This is full trial. So after some delay of, let's say, 0.5 seconds, we want to set the time back to its original, which is going to be 1. Compile and save everything, and then let's play. Now if we right now, because it's double tap, so if we double tap, it's now working. Let's go back. So double tap to dash is true, can dash is false. We first go. If we cannot dash, means this is going to be true. Then we can dash. We set the duration of, maybe this is too small. Then we can't dash, and then we go over here to false and do this. It should work now. Right. So the function is working, the time dilation is working. Now if we go back into double tap to dash and we turn this off, now we should be able to do the same thing with just hold. So now you can dash without double clicking, basically. So we set the global time dilation, but we don't want to make this by a delay. We actually want to do this by a timeline. So make a timeline, and we're going to play this from a start. We are going to add a track of a float. Name this dash wave. So go inside your dash wave, and here we are going to set this length. So this is completely up to you. How much longer do you want the dash to be? If you want this to be dramatic, you want this to be around 2 seconds. If you want this to be quick, keep this under like 0.5. I'm going to go inside between, and I'm going to hold this just 1. Now what we are going to do is just press shift and click, and it will introduce a node to your page. And here we are going to set the time to 0, but the value is going to be somewhat 2, yeah, something, maybe not 2. Let's keep this 1 for now, and then the other value, shift click, then we're going to make this 0.5, and this value is going to be again just 1. Then we're going to shift click again, and this value is time is going to be 1 and value is going to be 0. So it's like this. Then we're going to select each node, and select each node, right click and say auto, and this will create some kind of like something like this wave, and you can adjust it to your liking, and I want this to be something like this. But we're going to change this in future to make sure that we are getting the perfect result. Now in the dash wave, we are actually having a float. And now what we are going to do inside update is we're going to set custom time dilation. And what does custom time dilation means is that whatever the global time dilation is, the actor that is utilizing this will be using the different time dilation. If you want to check this, you can make this some kind of like really big number, like 100 or something, and your character will be faster than the whole world, and the whole world will be slower because it's on 0.2. So now we are going to set this according to dash wave. So it's on 1 and then it goes to 0. But we also don't want this, because we want the character time dilation to be actually 1 at the end. So select all of them, then drag them up and put it around 1. Then compile and save. Go to event graph, shift click and duplicate this, and in the finished we are going to just mention this as 1. So whatever you do in the timeline, it's just going to be finished at 1. It's better because sometimes you miss just some node and it's not that quite there. So we are going to put this back at 1. Then we are going to get the global time dilation and make this 1 again. So what we are basically doing is making the world slower, then we are making our character faster, and then we are making them both the same time that they were before. So let's see how it looks. If we press Alt, our character is not that much faster. Yeah. You can make this as fast as you want. You just need to drag these few nodes upward. So we needed the global time dilation, and because we are trying to make this slower, we actually need this to be a lot above, like crazy above. If you don't want to do this and you want to keep this kind of like in a good range, because we actually want this last value to be around 1 because we are setting it back, so you actually need to keep this in a good range. So what we are going to do is basically we're going to expand this. Then this value is going to be of where is it? Okay, this value is going to be times 0, but the value is going to be 5, or you can make this 10. And then this value is going to be 0.75, and value is going to be around 5, yeah, or maybe 8. So this is completely custom. It's up to you how you want this. We want this one to be at time 1 and value 0, value 1 actually. So we get this kind of a wave pattern. Okay, and now what we're going to do is basically follow this. So we don't really need time dilation, because like why would you even need it? Because well, we are doing custom time dilation. If the character is faster, the world is slower by default. If you actually do introduce time dilation of the whole world, then you need this number to be something really big. You don't want this to be 5 or something. It should be around 500 or something. So it's completely up to you. You can slow down the world, but you actually need the character to be much more faster than. But if you just keep it this way, then it's going to work. So let's go play again and press Alt. Voila, we dash. Now, one thing is that you can't dash between objects. So you can dash between these things. You're going to stuck inside it. How you can fix that is just go to Sandbox character, and while we are doing this custom time dilation, we are going to make the capsule component not collide with certain objects being the things that you can dash through. I will highly recommend that you make this a specified object instead of every building, because it's going to cause some problems. Players can leave the world that you don't want to do, and basically if we want to make the player go through this, we are just going to go into details, search tag, and go inside tags. Then in actor, we are going to introduce a new tag in the index, and we are going to call this pass through. I would recommend you keep this tag as readable and as short as possible. I'm just going to call this pass for that reason. And if a actor contains this tag, we can pass through them. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Collision. Yeah, this is world dynamic. What the heck? Let's try to make this world static. So go inside edit, go inside the project settings, And then in the search, code for object. In object, we can enable new channels. So we are going to click new object channel, and we are going to name this pass through. Possible, maybe. Possible. And default response is going to be ignore and accept. No, save everything. In the CentOS corrector, while we are updating, because we sometimes need, as you can see, sometimes we need the tracing to be in event tick. But basically, because the timeline is also basically a event tick, if we call this on update, then we can just do that thing. So we are going to get our mesh, and after in the update, when we set the custom time dilation, we are going to say set sphere trace as sphere trace, and this will be sphere trace by sphere trace for objects. If you keep this as false, it's not going to actually work. So we are going to grab this and make a array, and this is going to be basically while static. And the start radius and the end is going to be mesh get world location. Then we are also going to get forward vector, and at this point I would recommend then that you just select all of these things, right click and say collapse to function. We can't do that because it's a timeline, not good. Okay, let's at least put the tracing in a function. Collapse to function, and it's just going to say trace for parsing, and double click on it. Now grab your world location and forward vector, move them down, move this over here. Then world location is going to be the start point. Then we're going to get the forward vector, and then we're going to say trace forward vector, and we're going to add in it, no, multiply it by a vector's factor. What is it? Float single precision, and then we are going to, after multiplying it, add the location in it. So basically do this and do this. Then here we're going to make another branch, break hit result, and from the hit result we are going to get the actor and say has tag. Actor has tag, and here we're going to say pass. So if actor have a tag called pass, then we're going to return another branch in true, connect this in true, close everything, and then we're going to get the actor again, and we're going to set collision. We can set it. So go to component and set collision object type, and this is going to be possible. Make sure that you don't do this with physics object, because if you make them possible and they are ignoring everything, then they will just pass through the floor and they leave the world basically. So make sure to do this with only world statics. We're also going to make this in here. We're going to give it an output. Return node. Here we are going to give it a return node, and in the return node we are going to give us the hit component. So here we're going to get this passing object, and compile and save and back, and after this we're going to grab this and say set actor set collision object type, and this is not going to happen over there, it's going to happen over here. We're going to make this world static again after we set the world time dilation back. Now one more thing that we need to do before we actually go over here and do this is make another branch. Yeah, before we even do this. So before we follow up this code, we actually want to check whether the player is actually just standing, because if he is just standing, we don't want him to do dash at all. So if he is standing, then we are going to grab the condition promote to not to available. I'm sorry about that. We're going to get the player moment, then we're going to get velocity, and from here we're going to get vector length. Not get vector length, just vector length. And from here we're going to check if this is greater or just greater. So if this is greater than value 10, means he is not standing, then in true we're going to do this. And go back to trace for passing, and instead of mass we're going to make this self, and get forward vector, multiply this by float single precision, then we're going to multiply this by 1000 and put that here. Back. Get actor location, get actor forward vector, and get them there with this and with that. Yeah. This does it. This definitely does it. Because this is not that, and this is also not that, and this is not even world static, so it's not even getting green, but this one does. And I would recommend putting this around your feet and not your waist, because there will be some objects that are below your waist would not get detected by it, and you will get stuck. So to do that, it's pretty simple. Just go over here, subtract this on z-axis by something like 30, and make this your start. So now if you go, you can make this even more down if you want to. For now, this is good for me, and you can customize this as much as possible. Oh, there will be some errors like this one. Access trying to read property, passing object, collision object type. I mean, they are not actually causing any errors. They're just being there. So what's actually happening is this timeline does get finished and it's trying to read this property because we were trying to pass. But let's say we didn't pass through anything, then it's still trying to read this and set some target to be world static, which is basically none. So the error will not cause any problem in your system. They're just error that we are trying to make something world static that is basically nothing. So this should not cause any problem, and you should be able to just basically do your best. And when you are not passing and when you're not dashing, you're not actually passing through anything, and you can also reverse over them. Yeah, so just add the actor and this should work. Now